Good Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I'll be covering more active weather with more severe weather and heavy snow across the northern and eastern United States, followed by another powerful storm taking aim on the middle of the country next week with a blizzard and another major tornado outbreak. We'll go over those details, and then we'll go over the long-range weather forecast. When does the quiet weather return? We'll have those answers to that question later on in this video. But if you guys are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. on this channel. I cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season, so definitely be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And also, it's important to hit the like button, the thumbs up button down below the video. And more likes we get, the more people who view this video, so I definitely appreciate all of the likes and the new subscribers out there. But going back to yesterday, it was a very busy day with lots of severe weather. In fact, we had 57 tornado reports all the way up here into southern Wisconsin and as far south as Mississippi and Alabama. We had 252 wind reports, 6 of those being hurricane force at least. Then we had 160 hail reports, 13 of those being 2-inch in diameter or larger, for so far of a total of 469 severe weather reports. And I do believe that these numbers will be growing over the next couple of days with the surveys out there. But as we go through today, that cold front and the warm sector will be pushing off to the east, so that is going to be spelling more trouble up here across the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, and the southeast, especially as those temperatures will warm into the 70s and 80s out here. And we have the dew points returning into the 50s as far north as the mid-Atlantic and parts of the I-95 corridor here. And we still have some very fast winds aloft in the mid-levels, screaming out of the west-southwest here, over 100 knots through the eastern Ohio Valley. So plenty of lift, plenty of moisture moving up over this area. So there's 2 areas we're watching for more organized severe weather. The first area is up here across portions of the northeast. This covers southwestern portions of Maine, down through southern Vermont, New Hampshire, much of Massachusetts, including the Boston area, getting down the I-95 corridor. So we're talking about you there in Hartford, Connecticut, much of Connecticut there as well, Long Island, New York City, much of New York State, back there toward the Buffalo, Syracuse regions, getting down through New Jersey, much of north central portions of Pennsylvania, and then portions there of Delaware, as well as far west as eastern Ohio. And then a secondary area across the southeast from southern South Carolina through southern Georgia and southeastern Alabama here. We definitely have to watch on the southern flank of this cold front. Looking at the hazards here, we have 2 areas to watch. 15% shade of maybe some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, one up here across the northeast. The secondary area down here across the southeast, across southern South Carolina, southern Georgia, and southeastern Alabama. We're also talking about a lower end hail threat, maybe just up to quarter, maybe $half size with some of the stronger hail cores up here across New Jersey, eastern portions of Pennsylvania, and then a secondary area back into eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania. And we're also seeing a focus corridor for some isolated tornadoes. This is primarily from New York City down here through New Jersey, eastern portions of Pennsylvania near the Philadelphia region, and then getting down into portions of eastern Maryland into Delaware, and then more of a 2% probability back across portions of the eastern Ohio Valley and the southeastern areas going through today. So looking at this noon time frame, we got a couple areas we're watching. We're watching the main cold front down here with ongoing storms. These should re-intensify across the southeast going into early this afternoon. Those will press off to the south and east. Again, mainly damaging winds, some hail, but a spin-up tornado is definitely possible with 1 or 2 of these storms across the southeast. Up across the mid-Atlantic, the northeast here, we're talking about reigniting some storms. We have the backside of the system pulling through, a lot of lift with this. And we're going to be seeing some additional storms fire up across eastern Ohio, getting into western portions of Pennsylvania. Those will race across New York State toward New Jersey and then arrive across New York City later on this afternoon and this evening. That'll be arriving toward places like Boston, Cape Cod, down here into Rhode Island in the Long Island region as we go through the mid-evening hours here this evening. And then finally, by the time we get to Sunday morning on April 2nd at 6 a.m., we're going to push this system farther off the coast here. We'll say goodbye to the severe weather, and we'll have high pressure working in behind this system across much of the eastern 2/3 of the country, so we can take a sigh of relief as we go into the day on Sunday. But we're also talking about the wind component with this system. So we have widespread wind advisories, even some high wind warnings over here into the mid-Atlantic, where you see these darker tan colors. This covers southeastern portions of Ohio, eastern Kentucky, the entire state of West Virginia, southern portions of Pennsylvania here, parts of Maryland, getting down into Virginia. And then the Western Carolinas, definitely seeing some very strong winds with this system, as it is very strong. We have a 986 millibar low up here into Quebec, Canada by this afternoon. And on the backside, we're going to see northwesterly winds screaming in, sustained between 20, if not 30 miles per hour at the surface. And we're going to be mixing down some of these winds from the low levels in the 850 millibar layer. So some of these winds could get mixed down, especially with any showers and thunderstorms across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. And this is the area of concern for up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts going through this afternoon and even into this evening, before that boundary layer does start to kind of stabilize and we start to see more of the calmer winds working in, getting through the day on Sunday. But definitely a very windy Saturday, not only across the mid-Atlantic, but even back west across the Midwest, with places like Chicago, Indianapolis, Toledo will be gusting over 40 miles per hour through the day today. So hang on to your hats out there. But on the backside of the storm system, we're still talking about the snow. So we got the colder air up here to the north. You can see that represented by the blue shaded colors across the Midwest and the northern Great Lakes. And that's where we're going to see a narrow stripe of snow, additional snowfall accumulations today into Sunday morning of about 5 to 8 inches across much of northern Wisconsin, and then over a foot of snow here additionally across the UP of Michigan toward the Marquette area. So definitely seeing some plowable snow farther up here to the north. And then as we go over toward the northeast, some snowflakes across northern Maine, maybe up to an inch and a half up here toward the Caribou region. But other than that, we're not really talking about any formidable snow, just some snow showers from time to time on the system's backside going through the first half of your Sunday, April 3rd. But as we go through Sunday as well, we got another small system down here we're watching across the deep south toward the Gulf Coast states. That's going to be providing the threat for more severe weather on Sunday here, just a marginal risk down here into southern Oklahoma near the Red River, getting farther south into north and northeast Texas. This does include places like Wichita Falls, Dallas, Fort Worth, the Sherman area, getting over into the Tyler, Texas area, and even the Shreveport area there into northwestern Louisiana. And there's a small risk that a couple of these storms could fire some tornadoes just west of the Dallas, Fort Worth area back here toward Wichita Falls. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that going into the afternoon and evening on Sunday. So timing this out mid-morning, this is 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Again, all is quiet out here with that high pressure system centered across the southeast and the Tennessee Valley, but we'll start to quickly see thunderstorms initiate across the Red River into southern Oklahoma, northwestern Texas toward the Wichita Falls region, northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Those will grow in intensity and coverage as we go through the evening hours here. About 6 o'clock, these will be rumbling their way through the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, Texarkana, through western portions of Arkansas, getting in toward the Shreveport region by early evening. Those will scream across northern portions of Louisiana, getting into western Mississippi. So waking up Monday morning at midnight, probably some rumbles of thunder, some heavy rainfall, maybe some stronger wind gusts, but definitely sub-severe through the Jackson area. And that will start to really fall apart by the time we get into Monday morning, as it outruns the better instability through that time frame. But as we go through the weekend, we have another system. This is our next powerful low pressure system that's going to wreak havoc on the country downstream as we get into early next week. And that's organizing itself up across southwestern Canada and the Pacific Northwest this afternoon. That will start to slowly dive to the south here, out of Canada into the Pacific Northwest, into Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Northern California on Sunday, before really deepening and stretching out down here toward portions of the West Coast and the Intermountain West as we start the work week on Monday, April 3rd. So what this will bring to the table, more heavy snow, especially in those higher elevations. So a lot of the ski resorts going strong up here. The Saturday afternoon, this afternoon, we're seeing a lot of heavy snow, central Idaho, western Montana, getting into the higher elevations of Washington State, down through Oregon, even northern California, seeing some snow showers there as well. That continues across much of the Pacific Northwest in those higher elevations through this evening, getting through Sunday, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and then we're also seeing that going into Monday morning. So a several day period here of some very heavy snow in those higher elevations and more organized snows by Monday morning across the Salt Lake City area, up there in northern and central Utah, southern Wyoming toward the Cheyenne, Wyoming area. We're definitely going to start to see more organized snowfall working in towards your Monday morning time frame. But overall, looking at the total snowfall accumulation going from now through Monday morning on April 3rd, we're definitely seeing some formidable snow up here across western portions of Washington State in those higher elevations. That extends into the higher elevations of Oregon there, into central and northern Idaho, western portions of Montana, into western Wyoming. Definitely seeing some feet of snow, 1 to 2, even 3 feet of snow flying, especially with those highest totals back here into Washington State and Western Oregon State in those higher elevations going through early next week. And this will cause some travel trouble. So as you go up in elevation, you're going to start to see more slippery travel. Things are going to be going downhill. So definitely be aware of that, especially in those areas into Western Washington and Western Oregon as we go through this weekend. But that system on Monday will be deepening, like I mentioned, and this will start to eject across the middle of the country. And you see downstream from that another strong ridge across the eastern 2/3 of the country. So a big clash in temperatures on Tuesday. This is going to mark the potential for another major tornado outbreak on Tuesday. Then that will eject up across southern Canada by the time we get towards that Wednesday, April 5th time frame. But this is the concern. So on Sunday, this is going to start the return flow. We're going to have southerly winds starting to turn back again. Temperatures will be into the 70s and even 80s down here into Texas on Sunday. We'll warm those temperatures more, even touching the 90-degree mark into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, back toward the west, toward Austin, and even southward into the middle 90s, in toward the Rio Grande Valley. And then all that warm front will be pushing all the way up toward the lower Missouri Valley. Central Illinois will be getting into the 70s as we get into Monday. And this is the concern as well. Monday, the temperatures with the dew points will be rising as well. We have the 50-degree dew points returning to the Kansas City region, Peoria, Illinois, Springfield, Illinois, all the way south here to the Gulf of Mexico. Those very high dew points, and you can see in the Arklatex will be around 70 degrees with those dew points on Monday. So a very juicy, charged atmosphere. So there's no surprise that right along that dry line, we're definitely going to start to spark some at least marginally severe storms from Kansas City all the way south through Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and then even the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and Sherman, Texas, by the time we get into that Monday afternoon and Monday night time frame. And this comes to no surprise, another strong trough, so we're going to have a lot of strong winds in the mid-levels of the atmosphere going into Monday night. So looking at this, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, a couple storms up here with that warm frontal boundary as we go through central Iowa. These likely could be some small hail-producing storms, nothing too severe out of that. But back to the west, you see all the heavy snow into central Rockies Monday afternoon, but generally an open warm sector. We don't really have too much in the way of storms. That continues through the evening hours. And again, another caveat to this risk is conditional here from Kansas City to Dallas-Fort Worth because of the drought lingering across the western Great Plains. That's going to put a cap on the atmosphere, and the storms, again, like last event happened, will struggle to fire up all the way through Monday. So again, if a storm does fire, we will have all severe hazards, but if it does not, then we likely will not have anything severe on Monday into Tuesday morning. Again, like I said, 7 o'clock Tuesday morning, we got the big snows up here to the north across the Dakotas, western Nebraska, into Wyoming, even portions of western Minnesota. But that open warm sector, we really have that strong cap here, like a steel wall on the atmosphere, preventing those clouds from growing into Tuesday morning. But then as we go into Tuesday, that warm front here starts to lift back to the north as we go into central Iowa, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois again. And this is going to surge those 70s and 80s well up to the north. We could be in the middle 70s here in Des Moines, touching 70 here near the Chicago area, and even into the 80s across the St. Louis region on Tuesday. And look at the moist sector with this system, with dew points in the low 60s all the way up toward the Madison, Wisconsin region and Milwaukee. So there's no surprise that we have a very strong trough in play here as we head into Tuesday. And look at the negative tilt on this trough and the winds with it, over 110 knots in the mid levels, and the low level jet is absolutely incredible with this system. So there's a lot of wind energy coming in. So again, just like last time, the Storm Prediction Center's Day 4 outlook has a widespread zone for severe weather with an enhanced risk, or 30% outline, from the Chicagoland area, getting back through St. Louis, Kansas City, Des Moines, all the way south toward the Little Rock region as we go through Tuesday. And again, a widespread zone of severe weather in this yellow outline. This also includes Memphis, Nashville, Indianapolis, and then getting over into western Ohio as well as we go through Tuesday. So looking Tuesday morning, again, that open warm sector. So that means we'll surge that warm front farther north without interruptions from any convection out there. That surface low will be deepening in a big way here across northern Kansas Tuesday afternoon, down to a 983 millibar low. This is the concern, though. Peak daytime heating early to mid-afternoon. We might have some rogue supercells trying to fire up in the open warm sector, and these would pose the risk for strong tornadoes, very large hail, and intense wind gusts, probably hurricane force or stronger, with a very strong mid-level jet Tuesday afternoon. Going through Tuesday evening, could have a couple tornadoes up here near the low pressure system, definitely possible, and a couple supercells all the way down into the Arklatex regions by 7 o'clock Tuesday evening. And then a massive squall line will be surging from southwest Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, all the way south to the Little Rock region through the overnight hours, posing the risk for hurricane force wind gusts again up to 80 miles per hour, very large hail, and possibly a few spin up tornadoes along the way as well. That will surge east through Wednesday morning before we fall apart with that squall line by the afternoon hours. But look at the snow on the backside. We got a lot of heavy snow, these tight isobars. And so you see the very heavy snowfall amounts going in towards the European forecast model into next week. We see up to a foot of snow, especially the central and eastern Dakotas, several inches up here into the northern Minnesota regions, the upper Great Lakes, and really the GFS model is pretty much on board with that, and pretty much the same in the placement as well going through next week. So there's a lot of agreement on this, and look at the strong winds. Again, there's a little bit of disagreement on how strong the low pressure system will be. The European model bottoms this out at a 975 with massive winds coming out of the north-northwest, sustained at 30 to 40 miles per hour, with higher gusts than that, with the snow flying out here on Tuesday into Wednesday. And the GFS not as strong, still has a 987 up here, but winds are still going to be screaming out of the north either way you slice it. So definitely a situation to watch. But when does the weather pattern quiet down? Well, it looks like the second week in April. So April 6th through the 10th, we'll have some cooler air working in on the backside of the system. That's going to change our weather pattern in a significant way. And we're going to dampen this ridge farther to the south and east here and get rid of the warmth for a little while. And the active weather pattern will shift across the southern and southeastern United States as well. And we can see an end to the troughs across the northwestern United States just briefly into the second week in April. But it looks like as we go into this towards the middle of April there, toward the 14th, that cooler air pushes across the eastern two-thirds of the country, and we see ridging building across the west here. I know it's been very cool across portions of Washington, Oregon, and California. A welcome sight going toward the middle of April with some warmer temperatures out west, and looks like drier weather. So you get to enjoy those warm temperatures out west, where the active pattern will be across the southern United States and the East Coast towards the beginning and of the middle of the month here. So we're going to continue to watch that as we go through the long range forecast. But thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video, give it a thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Saturday, everybody. A great rest of your weekend, and I will see you all in the next video.